So I decided to change up my Eldritch list and look at better ways to improve it based on the previous list that I played. The previous list is alright. There's just a lot of things that needed tweaking with it. And the stuff that got tweaked actually made this come first. So yeah, your boy did his research and the research paid off. So anyways, enough of me yapping. Just going to go into the list here and kind of explain as I go along. So we play this 2 standard Eldritch the Golden Lord. I tried to play this at 3 in my list, but it's just hard to find what to take out for it. And as long as you play the list well and you understand what you need to do, you don't need more than 2. Because we don't play the Cursed Eldland anymore, so fair enough. Yeah, Cursed was okay, but as long as you have access to all the big beat sticks in the deck, you can just pretty much win for nothing. Then we play the 3 Lava Golem. This is because you won't always go first, you'll lose the die roll occasionally, and you just want to have board breakers, because board breakers that don't start chains are very good, because your opponent can't respond to this. So you just go, maybe there's one, here's a Golem, cool, now I just set up some back row and I win. And then the 1 Ecclesia, because that's just wrap up the monster lineup. The Ecclesia is just Ecclesia. I keep on debating whether or not I want to take it out, leave it in. But I think for the version that I'm wanting to perfect here, the Ecclesia is still good, because fair enough, it gets eaten up by Ash, but I'd rather this get eaten up by Ash than my trap lineup. And just the ability sometimes to just special this in defense against Spite is kind of funny, because they've used Smashers already, and I just special this in defense. Unless they're playing that Link 2 that kind of banishes it. Yeah, they have to climb all the way to an access code, and if they're climbing all the way to an access code, that means that they're wasting stuff that they could usually keep, which means it's easier to actually beat the deck. That's it for the monster lineup. You don't actually play any more than this. I was thinking of playing Inspector Border in the main, but I'd rather play the Golem. Then for the spells, we play only this for the only Eldritch spell, because black is better than white in my eyes, because white you already have to start doing stuff, you already have to have the Eldritch in the grave, you already have to basically be halfway through the game. While black, if you draw it in your opening hand, it's great. If you draw it and in later games, it's okay, because you can use it to just grab the Eldritch from the deck, as well as it's free fodder to just send to the graveyard and then use its effect to just start resetting stuff. So that's the only reason I play this over white. Then we play 3 Super Poly, because going second card is amazing. We only pay 5 targets for this, but the thing is, technically we play more, and it comes up now and then where Natis is actually a decent Super Poly target, because there have been some very weird occasions against Punk where they've got a Synchro and an Exceed out, and I can just Super Poly into Natis. So yeah, this card's actually pretty decent. For the free draw power, then 3 Extravagance, because Extrav is Extrav. You love to see it all the time. Unfortunately, because we're not playing Lord of the Heavenly Prison in the main deck, we don't get to it as often as we'd like, but still, it eats up a lot of it eats up decent hand traps, and if it resolves, then you are winning. 3 Tuna Deer Servant, I wish it was 3. The reason why we play this is because we play the Ecclesia. If you don't play the Ecclesia, then you don't play this. But I think that this is pretty decent for the sole fact of it's another going second card that eats up negates, because your opponent has to negate this, because if not, I get more advantage into the game. And that's it for the spell lineup. Oh no. And then 1 Call by the Grave. The reason why we play this is because it's slightly better Hoquero, because it's a spell, pretty much. It's alright if you draw it with Extrav. If you don't draw it with Extrav, it's not the end of the world. It's still one of those cards where you do like seeing it when it's there, and when it's not, you don't miss it as much. And then that's it for basically the spells. For the traps, we play 3 Scarlet, because it's Scarlet, 3 Conquistador, and 2 Hoquero, and 1 Golden Land Forever. Now, the reason why we played this ratio for it is because Golden Land Forever is actually a lot better than you think it is. So, after you've done most of your stuff turn 1, and you've used your Conquistadors and your Sanguines, once you've broken your opponent's board, having access to searchable Solemn Judgment is amazing for the sole reason that it makes it even harder for them to play around it, because they know full well that this is here because you will have set it, because you don't, unless you've hard drawn it, they will know that it's there. And once they know that it's there, they have to start doing some weird plays to either bait it or to out it, which either way means that they're wasting stuff on just a one Solemn Judgment. As for the Haquero, I don't think you need to play 3 because the third one is in the form of Call by the Grave, and the other ones are pretty much self-explanatory. Then for the non-Eldritch cards that you actually want to draw, 3 Skill Drain, because Skill Drain, 3 Torrential Tribute, and 3 Rivalry of Warlords. Now, the reason why I play these at 3, and I'm not doing the weird thing where you play lots and lots of 2-ofs, is because these break boards on their own. There are only a handful of matchups where these cards are not absolutely amazing. Like Flunder, it's a weird matchup with this. Splight, it's also a weird matchup because if they have the Thunder on the field, it's a bit harder to stop them because they've already got to their engine, but if they don't, then it means that they just have access to Toad, and that's really it. Torrential is just torrential, it just clears boards, and Skill Drain is Skill Drain, so I don't really know what to say about these ones here because they just do their job. And then for the 2-ofs, we play 2 Dogmaticus Punishment, 2 Ice Dragon's Prison, and 2 Solemn Strike. Now, the reason why we don't play this 3 anymore is because, number 1, because of the Golden Land Forever, and number 2, I find that drawing multiple strikes when you're going second isn't as good anymore because it doesn't achieve what you want it to, because your opponent's already established their board, so strike doesn't really do anything, and in most matchups it hits one thing, while the goal of this deck is to have cards that can hit multiple things at the same time, so that your opponent has to negate it. Now, fair enough, spell speed 3, so they're not really going to respond to this, but how many times as an Eldritch player have you striked something and you just thought, I wish strike was something else, I wish it was a Dogmaticus Punishment, I wish it was a Torrential, a Rivalry, or anything else. Then for Ice Dragon's Prison, it's because it's actually pretty good. It's pretty good. You go first against most decks, and you can just blow them out of the water with Ice Dragon's Prison. And Dogmaticus Punishment, the reason why we don't play it 3 is because you can only use one of its name, and it gets to a point where you're starting to send really, really bad things, so you don't really want to see multiple punishment, especially since you can search it. So, like, you draw one of 3 cards and you can search into this, so yeah, that's why I don't want to see more of it. But that's it for the main deck. It's a 40-card main deck. We don't want to play any more than that. Yes? And that's it for the main deck, really. It's a 40-card main deck. I'm missing a couple of cards from the side, but I will go through them. So, for the fusions, we play the triple Natis. Because it's Natis, it's our target for Dogmaticus Punishment. It is an amazing target for Dogmaticus Punishment. We don't play the Agnister or anything else because since we're playing Super Poly, we have to play 5 less good cards. And we also play the double Dragos Depelio. So the reason why we play the Drago as our Super Poly target is because it is slightly better than Starving Venom. Now, Starving Venom is okay, but it just nukes the board, and this negates stuff, which negating stuff's better. There is supposed to also be 1 Mud Dragon and 2 of the, I think it's called Garuda, Mud Dragon's unloved brother. And the reason why we play the 5 Super Poly targets is because we don't want too many of them, but we want just enough to be able to hit most decks, because the thing is, this doesn't just hit Tier Element, it also hits Branded as well, while the other 3 hit everything. So we're not as bothered if we can't hit certain things. And also, as I said, the weird thing with Natis is because it requires a Synchro and a Synchro and an Exceed to make it. There are weird situations where it does come up where both are on the field. I think the most common one where it has actually appeared is during the Punk deck, where they've tried to make some weird stuff. one of my friends, he tried to make a dweller against me in the punk matchup. I don't know why he did specifically, because I'd already gone through 5 of my Eldritch cards, and it was Lord in the Grave, but it wasn't really going to do as much. But that's it for the fusions. Then for the links, we play the double Imduck and the one-liner. We don't play anything else for it in the link situation, because the thing is, Imduck is the one that we actually want to go into, and liner is it comes up sometimes, but it rarely does. The only time you really want this is for the sole purpose of sending Lich to the grave so that it comes back bigger. And also, the reason why we play this over the Link Spider is because we're not that bothered about the Nibiru token. Honestly and truthfully, we're not. And if your opponent messes up, you just get a free arrow that just says, okay, I'm just going to kill this monster and then I'm going to kill you. Now, I know people say that if you're making this because your opponent's messed up, you're already winning, but sometimes it does actually come up as its effect, and it's really, really useful for it. And then finally, for the XCs, we play the one Pleiades. It comes up 1 in every 10 games, so it needs to be played. The 2 Gustav, because if one gets extraved away, it's still alright. And then the 1 Juggernaut Lead, because this just steals your game. Triff's right in his statement of Eldritch turns into combo after turn 2, as long as nothing completely goes terribly wrong. So knowing that these 2 are still in your extra deck means that you can apply certain types of pressure to your opponent. Now, fair enough if one of your Liches gets DD Chrono that these become dead cards, but it's still the fact of they are great Dogmatica targets, because you can't always just send Natis. Sometimes there are really, really big things. Like, I have had to Dogmatica's punishment a Gigantic Splice. I had to send this to out the Gigantic because it was just too big. So it does actually matter, does having big things in the extra deck. Anyways, that's it for the extra deck. For the side, it's pretty standard. I don't think I've actually changed much, if really anything at all, from the previous list. But we play the 3 Raw Sphere mode because we side this in when we know that we're going second. Depending on the matchup, I try to have 5-sided, 5 of the quote-unquote kaijus, because you don't want to see too many of them, because they require you to give up your normal summons. So you open multiples of these and they don't do anything. So you want to have, under Patrick Hoban's Road of the King thing, you don't want to have more than 5 normal summons. So yeah, that's really the reason for it. Triple Inspector Border, you play this for when you go first, again, and nearly everything. When you go second, sometimes it can be quite good, depending on the matchup that you're up against. For example, when I was up against Rika Plants, I normal summoned this. They only had 1 effect that they could use. So it was pretty good, actually. Yeah, that's really all I can say about Border in that situation. We side 2 Lord of the Heavenly Prison. I am tempted to just not play this at all anymore, because I don't see it when I side, and I don't want to play it in the main because not many people play enough back row removal for it to actually matter anymore. When people start playing back row removal, then this will move to the main, but until that day arrives, you'll be sitting on the side bench, and 9 times out of 10 I actually use this for Gustav Max food. Then we play the 1 Happy's Feather Duster. It's just back row removal. I'd rather play this than anything else as a one-off in the side. 3 Evenly Matched. I am tempted to turn these into Lightning Storms instead, because there are very few occasions where I'll have actual face-up cards on the field. Because now that we're not playing Cursed Eldland, it means that anything that's face-up is something that your opponent wants to get rid of, and once they've got rid of all of it, then you can just Lightning Storm the board and then just win from there. So for now it is evenly, but I am tempted to put it up to Lightning Storm. There used to be the old idea that I would use Lord of the Heavenly Prison during the end phase, so I'd trigger any random trap, summon Heavenly, and then set this, so then I can go straight battle phase and just clear everything but 2. But it rarely comes up as much now. It's just because it's evenly, that's the only reason it's played. And then finally the triple Solemn Judgment, because it's Solemn Judgment, you don't want it in the main for this build, because I've chosen to play board breakers over stuff that protects my field. That's really it. You can play this in the main if you don't play the sort of list that I'm playing, but for this list you just don't play it in the main. Anyways, I don't really have anything else to say about Eldritch. It's just one of those decks where a good Eldritch player knows how the format is played so that they know how to correctly side. The only thing that I could probably add to this video is how you side properly. However, it is personal to the event that you go to, as well as just your knowledge and experience of the format. And that's really all I can say on that. Anyways, thanks guys for watching as always. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll be signing out now. Peace.